Okay, so hello everyone. I'm standing in for Maggie. Maggie and Ian won't be with us this evening. They're having some personal stuff that they're sorting out. Not between them, but just I think they've got a family ill going on, so they're not with us. So I'm being Maggie for the night. Just to say, the literature's up the back there. It's highly recommended. I think that a lot of us have read the literature. There's a full gamut of stuff. Helen's actually in the middle of writing. Got a new book coming out soon, and she's actually in the middle of writing another book. But all the literature's up there. She's also available if you want to chat with her after the meeting. She'll be available. You can have one-to-ones with her off-site or at her home. There's a price associated with that. I think there's still one place left for the silent retreat. So if you fancy that, it's highly recommended. And I think everyone who's been on the silent retreat really does get something out of it. Just remind everyone that during Satsang, no one's to leave. Please don't leave the room. If you need to go to the toilet, go now. We've got another 5 or so minutes before it kicks off. So just if you need to, get yourself a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, go now, or like I say, go to the loo. Can you turn your phones off, please? I'm going to have mine on because I'm doing the gong tonight. So I've got a digital one, but I'm going to sort of keep it on silent. So if you have got a phone, please turn it off. As I say, please try not to leave during Satsang. I was going to say, at the end of the meeting, if you just keep your voices down and try and key in with what we've been talking about. It's like, just don't be talking about what's going on Love Island at the moment. Try and keep it to what Helen's discussed. And I think tonight's going to be really exciting because I'm really excited about it, because I think if you've seen it online, she's going to take us through a self-inquiry, which is going to be fabulous, and it's gold. And for somebody like Helen, who's an enlightened being, it's a great sort of way to follow her path. So I highly recommend it. Hello to everyone online. Gainer's there, and Phil. So it's great to see you. And so yeah, so we'll be kicking off. Helen will be with us in approximately 6 or 7 minutes. So, but it's great to see you all, and I'll see you soon.
Namaste. Welcome to Satsang. Use a little work on that. So, welcome, and I'll tell you before we get started, I'm in a giddy mood, so I wanted tonight to to do some self-inquiry, because it's something that I really didn't understand, when I first started along this path, and it's the most beautiful thing when we do understand its simplicity and how powerful it really is to kind of get to the direct experience of what we are. And for that reason, I'd like to take a fresh look at it. And if you've done it before, self-inquiry, I'd ask you just to wipe a slate clean tonight and just approach it as if you've never heard anything about it before. Because I'll probably do it a little bit different, same principle, but and you can do it with your eyes open or your eyes closed, doesn't matter either way. And we're just going to take the basic question of what really am I? And we're going to, I'm going to guide you into finding more and more answers. And if you follow along and you're applying and you're doing it as I'm saying, you should start to have a quite different experience, quite nice experience. But more than that, the self-inquiry will give you tools and the ability to always access that deeper aspect of your being, because we're more than just a body and mind. We're more than just what we see and feel and hear and think about. So it's important really to access, and that's why we're here, to access that deeper core of our being that's not going to ever disappear. And if we first start with our self-inquiry, to just take a moment to understand that it's okay if nobody has shown you yet how to access your real being. Like, nobody knows how to do that as a human being. We're taught to only focus on our body and mind, to focus on the bits of us that we can see. And I know in my own journey, I spent a lot of time feeling frustrated and blaming myself, feeling like I should automatically know how to do this. But it's really quite crazy. If you wanted to speak French, learn to speak French, you wouldn't berate yourself because you can't speak French without having a single lesson. And we're all doing it in this process. I should be further. I should be able to do this. So self-inquiry is not a thinking process. It's a looking and a seeing. It's very direct. So what we're going to do is take this question, what really am I? And just sit with that for a moment. What we're going to do is be open to all the answers that want to come. So anything that happens in your experience, after you've asked that question, we're going to count it as an answer. So everyone can follow along with this if they want to. So if I ask myself the question, what really am I? The first thing that's probably going to happen is our mind is going to give us some helpful or not too helpful opinions on that, the answers to that question. And it's important when we're doing this self-inquiry not to judge any answer at all. There's no answer to the question that's right, and there's no answer that's wrong. So if we hear a sound outside the room we're sitting in, that's another answer. If there's an internal noise of thoughts or emotions, we're just going to be open and we're going to listen for these answers. We're going to let go of this idea that there's one answer. You know, human beings are trained to find the right answer, to really look for the one definitive answer. We're going to instead just be open to explore any answers that come. So if our mind says, I don't understand this, that's an answer. And we say, thank you very much, mind. Any other answers? Any more answers to this question? And we're just sitting with an open curiosity. Do you remember when we were children, we used to have this kind of open curiosity that we used to go through life with, that was somehow put aside. So if you just sit with this question gently, what really am I? You may feel an emotion in response to that. You may have a itch on your leg, that's another answer. A pain in your back, another answer. So we're just moving away from this idea that there's a right answer and that only one answer is acceptable. And if mind says I'm not doing it right, I can't figure this out, that's just another answer. There might be a desire to get the right answer. You can just notice that. So just another answer. We're just sitting with this question. What really am I actually? Just being open. So all the noises we can hear in the room, the clock ticking, is another answer. My words, another answer. Any thoughts or feelings going on inside you? Any sensations? An itch? Sounds from the room next door. All these are perhaps not answers that we would expect to get to this question, but we're not going to discount any answer. We're not going to push anything away. And we're also not going to grab any particular answer. So it's most really important just to be open and to listen to these answers as they come. If mind says, I'm not getting this, you say, thank you very much. That's another answer. Not sure I'm doing this right. Thank you very much. Any other answers to that question? And gradually, as we're just sitting with this openness and this question inside our being, begin to notice that your answers to that question begin to move to an experiential answer. Might start to feel a little bit more relaxed. Noticing how our body and mind begin to feel if we're just open to all the answers. Letting go of this need to find the right answer, the only answer. And if mind says something, that's just another answer. You might feel a sensation in your body, an ache in your neck. Feel the contact that your body is making with the chair you're in. That's another answer. Just being willing to accept every single way in this moment that answers are coming. What really am I? If a bird sings outside, there's another answer. Maybe you can notice your heart beating, there's another answer. It's good to notice as well, your body might start to feel a little heavy, a little more relaxed, just from being open, just from letting go of this idea that there's one right answer to that question. But our self-inquiry is more a process of being open to an ever unfolding answer, an ever deepening. There's another answer, a sneeze. Ever deepening answer. Again, we're not looking for the right answer. And at some point, as we're just open to receive all the answers, we'll notice that these answers are coming and going answers. They are thoughts, emotions, sensations, maybe an experience. At some point in our inquiry, just sitting with this question, then something else may present itself. Your real being. It may feel like a deep, empty space, or it may just feel like a blank, or it may feel like a deep quiet within yourself. Again, this isn't the right answer, it's just another answer. It may feel like just the absence of any answers, like nothing is happening. That's another answer that's important to recognize. That is also an answer. And even if this pure space of our consciousness opens up, we're not going to grasp it. We're not going to reject thought answers. We have no opinion at all on any of these answers. We're just going to be open to them. Enjoying how your body feels, enjoying how your mind feels when you begin to stay open this way. Noticing that your body is already relaxing simply by being open. And the more we're open to all the answers that want to come, the more we'll begin to notice this deeper answer. Again, not the right answer, just the one that's always there. You may just feel like these coming and go thought answers and everything else slide to the background. You may notice your mind just slowing down a little bit by itself. Again, not because we've done anything, just because we're open. And whatever is presented as an answer, we're just going to allow that to be. As if life is showing us all the ways it wants to answer this question, what really am I? In these phenomenal answers, thoughts, experiences, emotions, sensations, noises, are just coming and going. And there's this silent space of our being that will at some point present itself. It may feel like nothing in particular. It may not seem anything amazing when you see it. It just is. Not grasping anything. And so just being open to all the ways the answers want to come. Notice that the longer you're open, the more your mind is coming into this quiet space too. That by not trying to find the deeper space of your being, it just tends to present itself anyway. And by not grasping that deeper consciousness, that empty, formless consciousness, it's just here. And to allow yourself to enjoy how your body feels. Recognizing that just the act of being open to the answers begins to feel really, really good. We don't necessarily need any particular answer. It's just being open. Allowing yourself to experience all the answers. Perhaps for the first time ever. Being open to the fact that even a noise or an itch or a cough or a car passing by, all of these answers to that question, anything that happens when we ask this question must be an answer. Now, this isn't really a doing, it's just a seeing, kind of listening for all of the answers, all of the ways. And the more we just sit within ourselves, listening with this openness, this question, the more that we practice this, the faster and faster our mind will come to a quiet place by itself. And that we can be living in this question. It isn't something we're doing, it's something we're being. We're being this question. And there's a lovely relaxation in not needing any answer. And yet the deepest answer will present itself. The silent space of our being that's underneath and inside and behind all these phenomenal answers, thoughts and feelings and sensations and experiences. And just by sitting a little longer, our answers begin to deepen from initially thoughts, ideas, into feelings, into experiences. That accessing our real being can be as simple as just listening openly. Not preferring any answer at all. Not rejecting any answer at all. Noticing again how your body's beginning to feel, how your mind's beginning to feel. How good it feels to not know the answer to that question, what really am I? To be experiencing the answers. To be living in this moment, the answers. Every time we ask this question, we're going to come to this quietness within our being, easier and quicker every time, simply by not trying, simply by being open. We didn't make this happen, we're just open. We can begin to live from a deeper experience of ourself. That perhaps we've been skimming the surface of our being, And that as we practice this, living with this question, eventually we'll be able to take this question with us wherever we go, as if our being is a question mark, curiosity and openness. Just simply by not needing any particular answer, we'll find ourselves in a beautiful place. And eventually we won't even need the question. We'll just be the living example of the deepest answer. Our life can be an endless exploration of answers to this question. Not discounting our thoughts, not discounting our emotions, just allowing all the answers to come. That there's a beautiful space within our being that doesn't need anything, doesn't need an answer. Is happy just to listen. Is happy just to be. Again, just recognizing how your body feels. As your body begins to relax, you might be aware of some answers coming as aches and tensions. The more our body is just open, responding to this openness, you can just allow those to go in their own time. Self-inquiry is beautifully simple. Asking this question, what am I really? And immediately life begins to answer. Immediately, in fact, even before the question, these answers are here. It's just a looking and a seeing. It's not a doing. There's nowhere to reach with this self-inquiry. There's no end. There's just a beautiful openness, ever unfolding answer that is our experience in this moment. And this moment is an answer. Recognizing that you can't really get this wrong, just sitting with this question and seeing what happens. Just this openness, just this curiosity. Will allow this quietness of your being to come to the forefront. And again, we're not grasping, not trying to hold on to that. Even if mind says, I'd like to keep that, it's just another answer. And then we don't grasp anything or reject anything. This peace, this quiet is here already. And the more we practice our inquiry, we'll be able to walk around in this beautiful state. We'll be able to talk in this beautiful state. and all the answers that arise in and amongst this quietness of our being. Thoughts, emotions, experiences. Just be allowed to arise in this quiet. And that you can, for the rest of your life, if you want to, live from this question. Have this openness. Time to time, we'll fixate on one particular answer every now and again. Our mind may say that's the right answer. This is the best answer. And just notice that. Just be open. And when we don't grasp at anything, this effortless space of being is just present. And then we haven't done anything. We haven't changed into anything. We just simply used this openness to dive deeper into the core of our being. Naturally, we begin to dive into the quietness. And here in our quietness, even our mind may not really want to say much. Our emotions may be still. Even experience may stop, and you're just here, just being. And after a while of living this way, you'll somehow forget how to skim the surface of your being. You'll somehow forget how to only focus on thoughts. You'll somehow forget that there's a right answer or a wrong answer. And that being this open means you can spontaneously react to anything. Any thoughts that need to arise in this quiet will arise when they're needed. It's all right to enjoy how this feels. To give our mind and body a rest from desperately trying to find the answer to this question, the most important question: what really am I? And we move from trying to find the answer to being the answer in this moment. Never quite knowing how that's going to look in the next moment. Experiencing it as it unfolds. The self-inquiry is this simple, simple, simple thing. Just asking and being open. Just asking and listening. Just asking the question and seeing. This is the place where self-inquiry and meditation meet, the core of your being. At the truest place in your being. This place that is not coming and going. And it's the only permanent answer to this question. What really am I? And this quietness presents itself. And it will reveal itself ever more the longer you stay open, not grasping. Mind may grasp, you just notice that's an answer. So if you have your eyes closed right now, if you want to open them, you may not want to open them. But it's important to see that even with your eyes open, nothing has happened, nothing has changed. That whatever we experience from this point forward in our entire life is going to be an answer to that question. It's a really different way, isn't it, to move through your life. Instead of going from one experience to the next. How is life going to answer this question today? What really am I? Oh, I'm meeting with this person today, or this experience, that event, this feeling. And life will begin to surprise and delight you with the answers, the more open you stay. And the more open you stay, all the answers that you prefer were gone, will start to go. And all the answers that you'd like to have will begin to come, not by doing anything, simply by listening, asking the question, not grasping at any answer, not rejecting. It's the simplest thing of all, self-inquiry. I hope you've had a taste of that tonight, the simplicity of it, the beauty of it. That it's not a thinking process. We can use our mind to ask the question, what really am I? And then mind can sit in that silent space with you. You can begin to move through your entire life with this question inside your heart. And ever deepening answers coming. And the longer that you do this, the more these phenomenal answers of thoughts will begin to slide into the background. Excuse me. And that the peace and the love and the joy that we all want is going to come from that openness, that curiosity, rather than perhaps how we've been taught that it's going to come from finding the right answer to that question. Because whatever answer we're experiencing in this moment, it's going to change. It's going to move in that deep space of our being. So I'd suggest listening to this again, doing this again, sitting with this again and again, falling in love, if you want to, with how your body feels when you're open like this, how your mind feels when you're open. Because then this openness, it becomes very hard to think. Did you notice? Very hard to think. And really, really hard to feel bad. Begin to become aware that all of our suffering as human beings has been because we've only ever skimmed the top layer of our self, our thoughts and our emotions and our experiences. And accessing the deep core of your being is perhaps much simpler than we thought it is. You can never ever get to the end of the answers to that question. And that should fill you with joy. That life will be a constant exploration and a discovery of what you are. On one hand, you are this deep, deep quietness. On the other hand, you're appearing as all of this. And from that deep place, those aren't a contradiction or a paradox, they're just natural. Okay. I have I've got some questions. You know, always telling the self-inquiry is going well when everyone starts sliding to the side of the chair, you know. So this question was emailed in. It says, I've had a number of deeper seeings recently about my true self, and I can feel a knowing developing about what I really am. Although I still have lots of thoughts, and I was thinking maybe this is because it hasn't sunk in what it really means to be me, with a capital M. So I've been contemplating what it means, and I've been wondering more about what you say when you talk about wanting. You say you can relax because, as the self, when you want something, it will happen because I am all. Can you re-explain the theory for this again, as I have doubts? The doubts say, not you. I also seem to rely still on remembering. A part of me still believes that if I don't remember things, they won't get done. I know my true self is spontaneous and does what is needed. So how does all this fit together when there is a seeming need to remember to do things? So I'll take the first bit of that first. Can you explain what you mean when you say about wanting? So most of us, we have this idea when we're starting out, perhaps, that because we want something, that's why it's going to come to us. You know, that's how we're raised into to think and feel that if I want this thing and I want it strongly, it's going to come for me. And actually, it's the other way around. It's perhaps not something that our mind can understand, but actually the feeling that of wanting something is because that is how the self is moving, that is how the self is changing, that is how all this manifestation is moving into what we want. So the feeling that I want is really a advertisement or a sign or a preview for what is trying to show up in our lives, which is a total 180 from how we're taught, isn't it? I want this thing and it will come. Or perhaps it won't come and we really want. So if we feel this feeling of I want something, we begin to just notice that inside us. You can actually even in our self-inquiry notice that's another answer. And as we begin to relax into that quietness within our being, then the answers that come as experiences, as physical things, our life will begin to be an experience that agrees with how we feel. Our life has always been in agreement with how we feel. You know, if we feel not good enough inside, or restless, or discontent, or down, or sad, or whichever way we're feeling inside, life has had to agree with us to mirror that back to us in our experiences. No other option. So we can notice this feeling of I want, but just allow that to arise and stay in the core of our being. Then that deep, deep peace, that contentment that comes with being open, is going to colour what experiences can happen for us. It's going to mean that everything we experience is going to match how we feel. Because we're coming from this place of fullness inside ourselves. Life is going to have to agree with that fullness and give us even more. So I hope that helps. But the idea that I want something, for most people, is a painful idea, because there's this plenty of experience of not getting, not having, or it taking a very long time to come, if it comes at all. And sometimes even when it does come, we're so exhausted from wanting and trying to get it that we can't even enjoy it when it turns up. And sometimes we find when it comes, we didn't really want it anyway, you know. So this is a different way to be. This is to notice there's a desire arising, allow that to arise, and then allow you've done your work in that, which kind of answers the second bit, really. Part of me still believes if I don't remember things, they won't get done. I can see my true self is spontaneous and does what is needed. So how does all this fit together when there's a seeming need to remember to do things? So it's our mind, it's our separate sense of self, who we think we are, that thinks we're the doer. You know, if I identify as this body and mind, then whatever my body does, I'll think I'm doing. Whatever my mind thinks, I'll think that I'm thinking it. You know, I'll pick that up as me. So suddenly then I am the one that has to remember what needs remembering. Living from that deeper space of your being, it's a different way. And when something needs to be remembered, a thought will just pop up in that deep space. Oh, you need to remember to lock the door, or turn the oven off. Or you need to remember whatever it is, you know, to make that phone call, or don't lock your keys in the car. So that'll just naturally arise inside that quietness. As you experienced, hopefully, the more open you are, the quieter your being is, then your mind becomes less and less chaotic and naturally goes back into silence. In that quietness, that openness, any thought that needs to arise is going to be heard, and it can just arise. So you'll be sitting there in that quietness, just happily in peace, and a thought will arise, time to go. Okay. You know, you look at the clock and crikey, it is time to go. Again, it's a different way of living. Not having to remember anything in particular. And there'll still be a sense, you know, of your body doing things. Your body will still be doing things. Your mind may still be thinking things. But there'll be more and more of a awareness that you're just watching that from this deep place, this quiet place. And incredibly, your body and mind are much more capable of remembering everything that needs to be remembered when we just leave them alone. You just watch. And our mind becomes less and less fragmented. It comes back into one whole quiet place. And it can function as it was supposed to. And even when we're remembering something, we're doing it spontaneously. A memory thought arises just like that. It's always spontaneous. Very good questions. Anyone else like to ask a question or share their experience from the self-inquiry? Everyone's too peace out now.
Yeah, I think just that whole thing. I've had a really bizarre day, really good day today, because I just had total bliss this morning, like driving in. We did speak about it briefly, but and then this is just the self-inquiry thing, really, because it's been a big part of this journey for me, is like doing my own version of self-inquiry from what I've read from the likes of Brahmana and Nisigata and stuff. But that then was just, it was quite extraordinary, because I could feel, it's weird because it was so deep that I could actually hear my mind shouting, but it was just this dull, a dull kind of a thing. And then it was one of those things you can't really remember what it was saying.
Yeah, it's harder to hear it, really, isn't it? Yeah. It moves to the background.
Yeah. You got this dull sense of it, like, you know, putting its hand up and shouting.
Yes, but
but
this isn't getting anything done.
Yeah. Do you remember this? Yeah. So
we've still got these problems to fix.
Yeah. But yeah. So this morning I got this whole, just this overwhelming sense of bliss, and I you know, dare I say it, love. It was quite extraordinary. I don't know, we did speak about it briefly, but I just wanted to relay that and just sort of and share that, particularly from the dissolving. I think from after, you know, going through the dissolving the ego course has been pretty good. Again, because I'm hearing new things.
You need to go deeper level this time.
Yeah. And it's certainly, I guess it's just that you keep peeling away layers of the onion. So.
And did you find this self-inquiry simpler than you've done before?
Very much so. Very simple. Because I think it's that chatter thing when you do. I mean, I've always found with the self-inquiry thing is it has actually, when I first started it, lots of things came up, but it was a lot of things were demonstrated to me about just patterns of behavior and patterns of ego and stuff in social situations, and it was kind of and it's stuff that I just sort of lived with but ignored, and then all of a sudden it was like became front and center.
Yeah.
And it was great, because it was something that once you look at it, it falls away. It still doesn't go away totally, but it's certainly I'm aware.
Sometimes you have to look a few times. It'll present itself a few times. There might still be a little unwillingness to look at something at first. More willingness than there was. You might sometimes have to look a few times, 2 or 3 times, before we've really embraced it. But yeah, it's that'll just naturally happen in that openness. Things will come up, and again, they're just another answer. I am this, you know, another answer is this old emotion or this old way of being. It's just another answer that can just be allowed. And if there's a tendency to reject it, just notice that as well. You know, you can just let that. The deeper you go into the core of your being, the easier it is to just let things arise, isn't it? And it's almost impossible to do from the surface of your being.
I think so. I haven't done a lot of motorway driving recently over the last few months, but I did have an M62 moment today.
Again, crikey.
Which you'll be happy to know. Yeah.
Showing off.
But it was but it was just that that awareness of being aware thing was really, really constant, and I had it for. Well, it's here all the time now. I just feel like I'm just an open window, and aware of things.
Mm.
It's quite amazing. Like before, when it first started, it was like I've said it before. It's like trying to catch a slippery bit of soap. It's like keeps slipping out, and you can't quite recapture it.
Yeah.
But now it's just with this peace and with the dissolving the ego, like reading the book and doing all that stuff.
It should be becoming more and more obvious,
Mm.
just noticeable more and more. It's always there, the awareness, silence, whatever you want to call it, real self. And then at some point it's just effortless that it's always there. And you don't even have to notice it in the end, because it's just it's just the only thing that really is present continuously. So it becomes, even noticing it becomes irrelevant, because where's it going to go? You know?
It was just really enjoying. I was just enjoying it.
Well, it just gets better. Bad news.
Great.
I know. It's once you've found that source inside, that's just the wellspring of all these states of peace, and that's not why we're finding it. We're finding it because it's true. But the side effect of that is unending peace and ever more bliss, and sometimes it will come in some very strong waves of love, and but in the background they're just becoming more and more constantly there. So it will ebb and flow, peace, love, and joy.
I'm loving being the witness. I'm loving witnessing things. I'm loving just and knowing that I'm.
It should be just more and more. You're just watching, less and less you're able to get involved, to get dragged off. You know, more and more you're just here, watching all of this arise. It's lovely.
Amazing.
Well, you put the work in, you should have the results. So very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing that.
All right.
Anyone else like to share or to ask a question? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good experience for me.
And you're sliding back in the chair.
Yeah. When I closed my eyes, my mind just went blank. And it was like, in the old days when it was like that film in Poltergeist where the television goes off.
Oh, yeah.
There's all that crackling. And it's like little atoms, tiny little flashes of light. And then sometimes through the light, through the darkness, because it's dark, and then I can see these little atoms. And then through the light, I can see faces coming towards me, right close, right up, and then just disappearing. And then they'll be coming in from this angle. And I just felt as if I'm just a traveller through space. It sounds a bit stupid, but
No, it's very good.
And just observing, and there was no thought. I was trying to think. Well, I tried to think where this was coming from, and it wasn't even coming from my brain. It was just coming right through me.
It's like there's this deeper space of your being. What you really are is, well, you said it. It's just this space, like, and it's just an observing that goes on there, or watching, not like ordinary everyday watching. We're watching, trying to get something out of things. There's just a watching, isn't there? That's just happening. You can kind of slip into it almost accidentally through the self-inquiry.
And I was numb through my eyes, closed eyes. I was seeing through my eyes, although they were closed, but I couldn't feel anything.
So the awareness of your body might slip away in that very deep place.
Yeah.
And how did you feel? Did your mind sort of go quieter as it?
Yeah, it was totally. There was no outside interference.
It's a very different way to orient your life. Most people try to quieten their mind because that's what we've been taught somehow is the goal. But just this openness, it will come. Your mind already wants to come back to quietness, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Just doesn't know how. So.
And I think over the past week, I've noticed that when I'm talking to people, there's a total calmness.
Very good.
even when difficult questions will get posed at me, that maybe in the past I've took that as a signal to mean something else. I've kind of paused and then just responded naturally.
Again, it's very different, isn't it, to
rather than in the old days flying off the handle, maybe.
Get half a sentence out and we sort of, oh, I know what they've, and we're immediately coming from what we think they're saying, rather than actually being in that moment.
Coming from, it was coming from, it was coming from the heart, from the inner self.
Good.
And there was also 2 weeks ago, I was in a situation where I thought there was going to be, trouble in an enclosed room with 3 other people, and I was preparing myself for it. This week, I came across somebody that was extremely aggressive outwardly. And afterwards I went up to him and spoke to him and gave him words of encouragement.
Very good.
To calm down, which I would never have done before. I think this wall of steel is finally dissolving away.
Ice melting, isn't it? We've all, unless we know how to access this deeper place, we've all really been responding from this fear-based place, trying to protect ourselves, and we don't realise just how much that has pervaded our whole existence, really. We don't know what that deeper being is going to do in any moment. It might go speak to that person, or it might just, but either way, that calmness is going to help the situation. It's kind of infectious. People like that quietness, and that's really good.
That's a different side. Completely.
It's a whole different way to be. Life is just discovered in each moment, rather than living from what we think is happening and recreating that over and over again. These endless cycles of how we think our life is played out because we're so focused on our thoughts all the time. We're living in this virtual reality rather than actual reality in this moment. And it starts to open up into, especially through the self-inquiry, whichever way we come to it, to ability to just actually experience what's happening, rather than being constantly lost up here. And then the resulting emotions that come from those thoughts, which are usually not too nice. So that's really good. Really good. Good progress. Anyone else like to share or ask? Yeah.
I don't know if they go.
It's okay.
It was just like last week. Don't know. It's been so many different experiences this week. It just show how things are changing. Being very an event with my kids on Saturday, and being very aware of the energy of the room and really being deeply present. And really enjoying it, and really enjoying all the highs and lows of it, and coming away from that and feeling just free, because I felt free to be as daft as I could with the kids and just feel everything, and then just giddiness, like childish giggles for no apparent, well, from my things that arise in my head that I think are extremely funny. And then I start laughing, but nobody's got any idea what's going on. And it's all that sort of, it's that freedom, and it's not that I can't laugh. Can't, I think they're going to reach for the straight racket at work, and keep doing it at work. But all that sort of stuff that's happening around me, and somebody apologised to me for being snappy with me yesterday, and it was like, they wouldn't have done that before. And I think, well, is that because my energy's changed and everything like that? But the flip side, then I went into low behaviour yesterday and reacted to something, but I recognised it immediately and it didn't feel nice.
Very good.
So it's like it's a bit of a ramble, but all these things just make it.
It's much easier to see, you know, when you're generally feeling quite peaceful and quite content, it's very much easier to see when you slip into being angry or, you know, whatever emotion it is that arises, where we might have gone with it for hours and hours before, we didn't notice it. Now it's such a contrast to how you're normally feeling that you see it much quicker, and you can just, it's a choice then to just come out of it, you know, instead of, you know, how it used to be, just, we knew we were doing this, perhaps we didn't have the power to kind of snap out of it.
It was just a question was asked. I think it was a question that was asked, but my immediate response was to be defensive, and I kind of caught myself doing it.
And there's nothing gone wrong there. It's just another place you're seeing where you're living from that old way, not the wrong way, just the old way, and you can make a more conscious choice then. So, you know, so these things will come up. Doesn't mean you failed. It's just some other, oh look, I'm still doing it there. I'm still being that particular person there. You know, I'm still trying to be a certain way or a shape there in that situation.
In these times I feel almost lightheaded and I think that's a bit weird, but I don't know if that's part of the process.
You can be, yeah, sometimes a lot of the energy rising that's freed up in not buying into these beliefs, it can come quite strongly sometimes. And less when you know you're someone, you know, more and more you're just being that silence itself. Then you're you know, as a separate being, everything is happening to me here or around me here. You know, so I'm sleeping, I'm eating, I'm walking, I'm talking, I'm in a fight, I'm whatever. I'm waking up. All of that is going on with this focus of this being here. This is your center right here. And that begins to disappear in the silence because it's just everywhere. Sometimes temporary effect on the body is because your center of gravity has been focused on me here. If I think I'm standing up now, I really believe I'm standing up now. But if I don't really know where I am, I'm just kind of everywhere. Sometimes our body, it finds its own center of gravity afterwards, after the ego is really dissolving. The switchover can sometimes be, I remember a couple of nights waking up and I couldn't tell for a moment whether I was sitting up or lying down still. It seems a weird thing to say, but I had to really look, and because the thought process that goes with being a separate being is I'm doing this, I'm sitting up, I'm going to bed, you know, all these things that we've just taken for granted. It's really just our body doing. So it might be a little bit of that, you know, as the switch over.
Doing the self-inquiry, I remember coming out doing the self-inquiry tap where my hands come like this.
Yeah.
That's normal.
In the deepest state, in the natural state, there isn't an awareness of your body. I know that sounds like a real weird thing to say. There's just awareness. There isn't silence and a body. There's just silence. And actually, it's really what we're experiencing all the time. You don't really experience your hands. You only experience when they touch something. You know, and you don't really experience your body. You only experience the contact it's making with the chair, or if it has a pain inside, or if it sneezes or something, then you notice that. But right now, you know, as it is, there isn't really an experience of it. It's very different at first. So in this natural place, there's just this empty space of your being. And a body just is there on a different way of being, isn't it? It can be a little freaky when you first, like, I don't know where my body is, but it's still there. But there's no division between you and your body. There's just the allness that is you. Can you see the difference? You touch upon it sometimes in deep meditation first, but then it begins to be a more normal experience. There's no division of me that's aware here and what I'm aware of. I'm not aware of my mind, not aware of my body. There's just that quiet, just awareness itself. Because if you have aware of, then you've got two things and a division. And you start to notice just the awareness, just that deep space of being. At first it's like, oh, I don't know where my body is, but it'll follow you around, don't worry. It's quite good like that.
Well, friend.
Your mind will tootle off over there somewhere accidentally and you won't know where it's gone, but it's fine. It's a bit weird at first, reality, because we've all been so caught up in our ideas. But it's just go with the changes the best you can. Mostly it's fun. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else like to share? Yeah. Excuse me.
Hope I don't put a jumper on things now. The self-inquiry were brilliant.
What did you experience?
I think you mentioned it the other day, really. I didn't understand it was self-inquiry based. So I understood what you were trying to say to it.
I sometimes don't tell people when I do self-inquiry because they go, oh, I don't. I used to think the same, don't get it, you know.
No, what you were saying about, and there's loads of answers. No right or wrong answers. You know, my head's saying there is a right answer. You know.
And that's another answer.
I know what she's aiming at. I know what she's going. You know, I'm going for this peace thing. You know, every other answer is nonsense, and that's where I've been.
Mm-hmm.
I could see what you're saying about it. The openness.
Even that urge to get the right answer and to reject the other answers is just another answer. Treated like that. It's just another thing arising from that quiet place. Of course, if you touch upon peace and this deep silence, of course, something within you is going to rise up and say, I'm going to keep a hold. Yeah. Of course, because it feels so nice. Of course. You know, but you don't have to agree with that because grasping a hold of it is going to make it disappear. So let that thing arise. It says, I want this, and just let that arise. You know, as just another answer.
Well, on the deepest level, it's true. It's everything. So
yeah.
That's the same stuff. So on a deeper level, it's true anyway. But I'm saying I've been pushing one, like you do. You push one away, even though I try not to. I'm not saying I've got it off. So I certainly haven't, but I'll certainly practice this more. Because self-inquiry sometimes, I feel like it's baby stuff, and it's not. It's not.
The really advanced stuff, the baby stuff.
Yeah,
spirituality is that way.
Basic stuff. Sometimes I get off into highfalutin things that I'm doing, and I'm in my head. I'm just in the head trying to work it out. You know, I'm getting further on. I'm getting doing this, and it's basically. I think it's just keeping back. Well, my own mind, I will start to do more self-inquiry.
There's something inside us all that hates. First, it hates the simplicity. It loves the complexity of being someone and all the thoughts and everything that comes with that, all the problems and everything. And then it begins to just crave the simplicity again of the natural state.
Yeah.
And it falls more and more in love with that. And then 10 minutes you've been off in your head thinking about 65 different terms for the self, you know, and I don't want to do that. It's not making it wrong. It's just I'd just rather be here. Yeah. And I think the beautiful thing about the inquiry is that your body and mind will want to get involved in it because it does feel very nice. You know, it's nice for them as well. And just practicing being open like that, you find it harder and harder to kind of close back around an answer. You know, I found the answer. I found it. You know, that grasping that we all do. You just notice that going on. You go, okay, that's just another. Grasping is just another answer.
It's the real things I'm getting over that one.
And you're doing it again.
If you see that simply by not holding on to that piece, it will be there. You know, again, like with the question about wanting, the moment I try to get something, it won't be there. You know, if that piece is ever present, so if we don't grasp it and we don't reject our thought answers and all of that as wrong answers,
that's the bit.
You know.
Try not to. You know, I'm up and down moods at times. You know, I seem to be a bit off at the moment, but I picked up a bit of a bad feeling against a couple of guys. Or one in particular, really, but it's like I say, as soon as I start feeling bad around people, I feel bad. It's nothing to do with it. It's just. I get the feeling sometimes that people say, once you've seen it, let go of it. You know, I cannot let go of stuff. It just won't go. It has to resolve itself in its own time. I don't know. And it's in that process of feeling bad, the old mood changes.
Mm-hmm. We can ask, even if we're in that place where we're feeling really bad, we can always ask the question, are there any more answers in this moment?
Well, yeah.
And if we're able to see, hang on, I've grasped around one answer, this thought about this person or what's going on, I think I know suddenly. It's in that deep space, that quietness, it's just a not knowing, really, isn't it? Open to experience rather than knowing what I know. The moment you start to feel like that, it's an indication that we've grabbed one answer and holding on to it because it seems important for some reason, but something inside is already coming to a point where it's less and less willing to do that. More and more in love with the simple openness and curiosity, and also how that feels.
Get that, just see how it unfolds, see what's happening instead of getting all tied up with it.
If you notice you're tied up with it, okay, what other answers are present in this moment? Don't have to set it down, don't have to get rid of that feeling. You just, I must have closed up again. Let me open and ask that question, what really am I? And then just that openness will begin to diffuse what you're feeling inside immediately. Because it's not the thought or feeling that's making you feel bad. It's the grasping of it and rejecting everything else. If you grab a hold of one answer to that question, one thought or one feeling, you've simultaneously closed off to everything else. And that's why it feels so bad.
Right. But then I got another answer. This I think is a good one. I can't change that. I can only change how I react to those people. Now that I just love them, trying to love them, see what happens. But now I've grasped some of that now. So is that wrong?
It's not wrong.
Right, but no.
I would
go with that.
At some point, when I realised how simple this inquiry was, I just promised myself that I'd never stop at any particular answer. So even now, the most beautiful experience of bliss, unending peace, the most fantastic experience, still that's not the answer. It's not, there's an inability now to close. It's become a habit to just be constantly open. And in that, there's a knowingness that no matter how beautiful the answer is or ugly in that moment, the one that's right in front of us, it's going to pass if you just let it pass. And there's something that just, if there is anything that dies in this process, it's the part of you that's trying to reach the finish line. If for the rest of your life is going to be this open experiencing of the answer to this question, there's nowhere to finish, is there? No. So there's something relaxes. There's no finish line. There's only now. And whatever you're either open or closed to that question. You either think you know the answer. I'm not saying you do, but we've grabbed a hold of one answer, or we're open to all the answers. That's the only free will we have. Yeah. And when it gets painful enough, something will stop doing it. Something is losing its taste already for that. And it's not the person or the thoughts around that person or the emotions that stimulates inside. It's the closing off.
Grasping off those.
You're so used to being this open, silent being now that when you do close off, it's you know, that's yucky. Make yourself a promise that you won't settle for any answer.
Oh,
Not that they're all wrong, but you'll stop trying to get to the right one, or the end, or the final one.
well,
You'll have an experience at some point. I'm just everywhere. I'm formless. None of these objects are really here in the way I think and feel they are. I've always existed. I'm never going to die, and it'll just be revealed to you like that. But even that is just another answer happening inside that quietness. And it will also go, won't it? It's a phenomenon that's coming and going, any epiphany. It will leave its mark on you, but even that is not the answer we're looking for. We're not looking for any answer. We're just...
yeah, I'm looking for a result.
Yeah, yeah. But you can see that, so you're coming out of it.
Okay.
We're conditioned as human beings, you know, I have this very strong memory from childhood of putting my hand up, getting the wrong answer. And nobody ever made me feel, no teacher never made me feel bad, but I remember being very, very embarrassed because I got the wrong answer. And then Smarty Pants next to me got the right answer, you know. So we've got this inside us, haven't we, that is still trying to do that. I know. Yeah, that's me, quick, I know. Yeah.
That's it.
There's much more simplicity and openness and freedom, total freedom in just, even if you grasp an answer, when you realize, okay, just let go of that and what other answers are here in this moment, immediately you'll start to feel better. The body begin to relax. And you get to a point where it's very hard to grasp anything at all or reject anything. It costs too much energy and you kind of can't be bothered.
That's what I want to get.
Yeah. You touched upon it tonight already. Don't think of it as getting that point.
There we go.
Yeah. It's more and more that will just be your experience as you just relax. All you have is this moment, and are you open in this moment to all the answers? It's the only free will you've got, or are you closed around one answer?
Closed.
So it's just a kind of a gentle commitment to just being ever more open. And there's no finish point. But the more you do that, the better you're going to feel all the time. Your baseline will be improving. You'll find you've gone off down a cul-de-sac every now and again. We all do. Especially when bliss comes. Oh, I like that answer. That's nice, you know. Yeah. I'll keep that one. Or peace, or, you know, something like that. But the way to have these things all the time is not to grasp.
Okay.
And not to reject anything. The other side of that coin.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
I'm going to leave it there for tonight. Thank you. Namaste.